fourth leg of the All-Stakes Late Pick 5 at Churchill Downs. On Saturday, June 4th, race 10, this is the Blame Stakes. All of the Zenyatta supporters just left the stream. Sorry to see you go. 8 older males going a mile and an eighth on the dirt course here, and the world's most overhyped allowance runner ever drew the rail. I can't wait to hear why Mike Somich likes Proxy this time.
Oh, do you want me to start with that? It's not my top pick, but I'm going to use Proxy. Look, I think that Proxy's last race was, left a little bit desired, but I still think Proxy is better than Scalding and Dynamic One. And so I'm going to go ahead and use Proxy because I think Scalding and Dynamic One are both going to be wildly overbet. Dynamic One, definitely wildly overbet. Scalding, I don't think, look, Scalding's a good horse, but I mean, American Revolution is the best horse in this race, period. So the question is, does American Revolution wire the field? And if not, who catches American Revolution? And if that happens, I'm going to go ahead and say it's the one horse Proxy that gets the job done. So I'm going to stick to my guns and say Proxy is better than Scalding. I had Scalding last time. I'm not going to use Scalding this time because of the price flip. I think Proxy is better than Scalding, and I think American Revolution is the best horse in this race. So I'm going to cover this race with the best horse in the lead, American Revolution, the best horse to race, American Revolution, and the best closer in Proxy. And I'll get through with those two horses. And this will be the second leg that you lose in the Pick 5 Magic.
How ironic that the race that blamed the most underrated horse the last 20 years, we have the most overrated allowance horse sitting there on the rail. I agree with you, Christopher. Thank you for bringing up that point. This is by the way, a weird race. You've got Grade 1 winner Superstock in here. Dynamic One he's actually not that bad of a horse. This is, if you couldn't tell, this is the race where Mike and I completely split apart. I hate Proxy. He is an allowance horse, and he runs like a jackass. He's not as good as Scalding just proved last race. Scalding's my top pick. I love that he's got tactical speed. He's beaten Dynamic One twice, along with beating Proxy. He's got the Hall of Fame jockey and trainer combination. Shug is a lot like Bill Mott. When he gets them on the right track, they keep going well. This is a multiple graded stakes winner in an ungraded stakes race. He's the only multiple graded stakes winner, I believe, in this entire race. So he's got that going for him. The fact that American Revolution in here, I love because I'm actually going to get a good price on him here. 5-2 on Scalding is going to seem like a steal when he whips the shit out of these horses. American Revolution could get second. I'm against him, Mike, because of his price. I think he is going to be sub-even money. I think you're going to look at the form and go, look at the triple-digit buyer. Oh, that's great. Look at how good he is. He's 2 for 3 at the distance, except those 2 wins were against New York breds, and the one time he actually faced Open Company, it was Hot Rod Charlie and Midnight Bourbon, and I know what your opinions are of those 2 horses, and sure, they'd probably be favored in this spot, but you don't think those are world beaters, so if he couldn't beat them, Scalding's in here. I'd say Scalding is almost on the same level of Hot Rod Charlie at this point. Midnight Bourbon, rest in peace. Wish we knew where you were going to rank there. My point is, if he wasn't nearly as good as those 2 horses last year, we haven't seen him at H4 when he could take a step forward. But Scalding, we know what he's doing. American Revolution, we're like, hey, maybe he comes back at the same point. Maybe he's good against Open Company. Scalding has said, I've beaten Open Company multiple times. I'm a multiple graded stakes winner. And so that's why I diverge.
Yeah, I mean, Midnight Bourbon and Hot Rod Charlie would be 1-9 in this race. I mean, they would be wild favorites over Scalding, not even close. And so I think that third is significantly better than anything that anyone can put up in here. There's just a talent gap to me. And you mentioned this is the first time out as a 4-year-old. Those numbers that you're talking about, all those hundreds, the 300 buyers are all these 3-year-olds. Like he could take a step forward and put himself as one of the top older horses in the country if he does. I mean, that's how the upside that we have here for the 8 horse. I disagree with the price. I don't think he's going off at 4-5. I think you're going to see somewhere around 6-5, 7-5. And I think the only way he really loses in this spot is if he's A, not fully cranked, or B, if someone goes out there and tries to fire with him early and he kind of falls apart. That race back at Keeneland, I mean, to me, you're looking at Scalding and you're saying he's a multiple grade stakes winner. And I'm looking at Scalding and saying he beat Cody's Wish in Dynamic One for the first graded stakes at Tampa Bay in a terrible race and came back and kind of tripped out and was set up well and was able to get the job done over Proxy. He kind of tripped out. I was there that day. I remember that race. And now he's picking up weight.
He was half a length in front of Proxy at the quarter pole. He was a head behind him at the half pole. He was a length ahead of him at the 3/4 pole, and he was a mile ahead at the finish line. Sorry, how did he trip out?
A mile ahead. He was 2.5 lengths ahead at the finish line. That's a little less than a mile. Slightly less
pick
than a mile.
5, and you got the winner. That's all that matters, Mike.
Wait. Well, I mean, do you want to do an American Revolution Scalding wager
No, because
here?
the point is we're trying to figure out winners. We're not playing the superfecta game. We're playing who's going to win the race.
Okay. Well, it's not going to be dynamic. Who's your second horse that you use?
Santos Dumont. I got a long shot here. Let me tell you about
fine.
Santos Dumont.
Tell me why Santos Dumont isn't going to win now.
Okay, so he wins 3 back, breaking very slowly, going a mile at Oaklawn, which is it's stop at the 16th pole. Churchill Downs, you're going to have a much longer stretch for this horse. But I watched that race 2 back at Oaklawn Park a couple of different times. Beat a former Magic Mike Show Fantasy League horse starring in my dreams who got second that race. But there, aside from American Revolution, you brought it up, there really isn't, like from a pace perspective, I was trying to figure out who's going to go with him, who could maybe take the lead, because we actually haven't seen American Revolution take the lead going 2 turns. He only went gate to wire once, and that was going 6 furlongs. It's like maybe someone will try and challenge, maybe because, by the way, we haven't talked about it, why is Florent Giroux riding this horse, and why is Luis Saez on the donkey on the rail? We'll answer that in a second, but Santos Dumont, to me, if he gets that race 2 back, with those fractions that he was posting there, I think that he can, if Mitch Burrow is hell-bent on going to the lead, I think Giroux is going to sit off with American Revolution. And if he gives him too much time, I already talked about that. I have concerns about American Revolution handling actual legitimate horses going a mile and an eighth. And I'm not necessarily saying that's Santos Dumont, more referencing Scalding there. But if American Revolution can't handle the 9 furlongs against open company, Santos Dumont is kind of trending upwards. That race last out against Oaklawn Park, at Oaklawn Park, completely scratched it out. He got pushed way back at the start. He broke from the rail, and that kind of was his undoing. Now he's in post 7. Just get him out to the lead. That's his one shot to win. And you're not going to talk me off of him, Mike, because he's 20-1.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Throw on your ticket. Waste the bullet. I honestly think Scalding might be the horse that ends up on the lead here. I wouldn't be shocked.
Really?
He's shown enough speed that if he wants to try and go before American Revolution does, he can. If not, American Revolution's out there walking. I mean, I think that's the only horse that has a chance to go with him early.
There is a point here. Dennis was bringing up, why didn't American Revolution run last weekend on New York Bred Stakes Day? Couldn't get the race to fill, Chris Maiello says. It is a little interesting. I talked about earlier, Pauline's Pearl and American Revolution, 2 grade 1 winners last out. Now they're showing up on graded stakes. But hey, the purses are great. The 15% takeout on this late pick 5, Mike, is pretty great as well.